That's the special love seat. Logan's back, everybody.
Man. I love how you record. Well, I mean, I walked in with a Holocaust joke. How much worse can it get?
I mean,
I pissed everybody in high school off at a speech. I think you'll enjoy this one. So I started the speech with, Hitler had the right idea, just the wrong demographic. You could hear a fucking pin drop, and I was like, I guess that joke didn't go over well with everybody.
Got a couple zoons in this crowd, don't we?
But it was totally a joke, and it was all of my friends giggled. They were just like, yeah, that sounds like something he would fucking do.
I was one of the most hated people in high school. And for good reason. I was a shit starter. My favorite story to tell people, have you guys ever read the book called A Boy Called It?
Yes.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
You're the first person in years to say yes. So, one thing is very clear throughout this book, okay? His mom is a piece of shit.
Yes, 100%.
So, at the end of the year, we were having a Socratic seminar, or we were supposed to have a Socratic seminar, but I got to the classroom before the teacher, and on the board, this is when Steven Crowder was like just making his entrance onto YouTube. I went up on the board and in chalk, I said, David's mom did nothing wrong, changed my mind. And everyone got in, and I was sitting under that message. It was so much fun, dude. Because, like, I didn't tell anyone, but I didn't even believe that statement.
Yeah,
I was playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
And by the end of the class, I had half of the students on my side. There was, like, 4 or 5, like, undecided in the middle. And then there was, like, probably 9 people, like, starkly, like, dude, you're so fucked up. It was great.
Those are always because so I was on the debate team.
Oh, that's the one thing I wish I would have done.
Yeah, so I was on the debate team, and I ended up becoming the captain of the debate team. So I'm one of those people that I can argue from from either side or the neutral.
Really?
Because that's how debate teams work. Because they don't just tell you to the way that they do it is that you have an argument, and it's like I'm going to use this, and this is probably going to piss people off, but I really don't care. So you'll have this group over here, and they're straight up fucking Republicans. Mm-hmm. And you've got this group over here, and they're straight up Democrats. They'll take the Republicans and put them on the Biden debate side. Mm. And then they'll take the Democrats and put them on the Trump debate side. And so you have to learn how to argue from both points. That was my favorite thing about debate team.
That is pretty cool.
Because you end up being the type of person where you can literally, you don't even have to say that you believe something. But you can talk about it, you can speak about it. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things that it's just a really cool fucking thing. And that's one of the things that I loved about it. So no, I'm right up there with you. The number of times that I've done shit like that, people are like, what the fuck, man? And I'm just like, it's cool though, because like I said, it's one of those things that you don't have to believe the statement that you say.
Right. And on that note, I actually got jumped 3 times my junior year for this one. It was Black Lives Don't Matter. And this is not the time to be going and saying that in public. And it was crazy because I would always say it to these blue hair liberal girls because it was always just the most fun. Now, I wouldn't say that black people don't matter. But when you're making that distinction between white and black lives, it's because you inherently think that black lives don't matter. And when you're, screaming, putting up your fist, and, it's because, how did I word this? It was, and this only works against white people, but it's, you don't think that these people matter enough and they're not good enough to defend themselves, so you believe that as a white person you have to go and defend them. And watching people's faces turn red with anger and embarrassment, where it's like, why not just let them
make the distinction?
Right. I personally don't believe that there's enough of a distinction between black and white people to be black lives versus white lives. Either lives matter or they don't.
So I always compare it to I'm a big Harry Potter nerd, right? So we talk about like mudbloods, you know, in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. They have mudbloods. They're people that have, you know, Muggle or human DNA versus in wizard DNA. I'm good. Every single human on the face of the planet right now, I can guarantee you, we can find that you have some, you know, different colors in you. That's just how it is. We're all blended.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is this, is that I wore a shirt and people got really angry at me and it said no lives matter.
Yes. I was saying that.
And the thing about it is that it was great because underneath it, people would actually have to get up to read it because it was a smaller text that said in America.
Yeah.
And people were like, what the fuck does that mean? I was like,
the government don't give a fuck about you.
No.
Man, I hate people, and I always thought it was a straw man, and I hated this straw man of people who trust the government. I'm like, these people don't actually exist.
No.
Like, that's just something that, you know, Fox News talks about. These people who just blindly trust in the government. And then I'm like watching videos on YouTube of people talking, and it's like, I mean, why wouldn't you trust the government? I mean, the government provides everything for you. You know, if you're down on your luck, the government will give you welfare. If you get, you know, injured, you have Medicare. If you're unemployed, there's unemployment. And I'm like, holy shit, there's people out there that actually trust the government.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild to me.
It's crazy, yeah.
Like,
there's even at 100%. Yeah.
Like, your governors and above.
Yeah.
Any one of those government officials would sell you for nothing.
Oh, yeah.
They would give your life away
Absolutely.
simply just to not have to deal with you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. But, you know, like I said, it's so fucking frustrating. Like, I hate the fact that the government's just in every part of our lives, and that's the one thing that frustrates the shit out of me.
How does everybody feel about the Trump conviction?
Funniest shit that's ever happened.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Like,
Funniest shit that's ever happened. Dude, okay, Trump rolled with Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King in their day, okay? He has 4 baby mamas and now 32 felonies. Trump is our first black president.
Okay.
yeah. That's kind of funny.
Okay. I regret steering the conversation into this fucking wall.
Oh, that was like watching a fucking train wreck. But no, I mean, the thing about it is that here's the thing. I believe that no one is above the law. Everyone should be able to be punished for crimes. And if a jury of people convict you, then fuck it. Like, deal with it. Like, great. You know, I mean, it's... Do I care? Does it affect my view of the man? No. I'm not the biggest fan. Like I tell everybody, I'm not a fan of any like specific politician, right? I think that both sides have great ideas, and some sides have better ideas that fit with what my ideas. If a Republican came through with the same ideals that I have, I would 100% vote for him. And I've always been that way. So... I argue from both points. Like,
I mean, so I'm obviously a little bit younger than you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I got into politics pretty young.
Same.
Because my... when it was Obama versus Mitt Romney... Romney, yep. My family was, like, up in arms because on one hand... you know, they've been Democrat for 150 years here in America.
Yep.
And on the other hand, you have Obama and his administration, and his administration is full of people that my parents, my grandparents were not fans of, namely Hillary Clinton.
That's fair.
And like, so, you know, it was this huge thing where every night at the dinner table, everyone was talking about politics, and I got into it, and I remember, like, not only was it the way that they looked at it, but the things that teachers would say in schools. It was, you know, if you vote for Romney, you don't care about people, and you're racist.
Yeah.
And I believed that for years, that the only reason you wouldn't want Obama as president is if you didn't like black people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he led the worst economic recovery in American history. Like, point for point, I think that we definitely, at that point, needed a black president. Like, that barrier needed to be broken.
100%.
I think we can all agree on that.
100%.
And at this point, I think that there's a much more clear barrier that needs to be broken. We need a woman in office.
I agree.
We need to see, like, okay, obviously the men aren't doing it right now.
Like, look at the women in power around the world that are doing such awesome jobs.
Mexico just got their first female president.
Was it Mexico? I thought it was, like, Brazil or something.
No.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was Brazil. I think it was Brazil.
Brazil may have also. But
Okay.
Are you looking it up?
I know,
Yeah, I'm gonna look it
Okay,
up real quick.
thank you.
I know Mexico did also.
And Hillary's seething, right? She's pissed, mauling that she
Because
wasn't
she
the
wasn't.
first. In North America, that is.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, you wanted to bring up the Trump conviction. Honestly, something that I would rather talk about is why the fuck are my two options an 86-year-old and an 82-year-old? Neither one of these men are going to live to see the consequences of their actions in office.
Yeah.
Fuck it, put them both to the guillotine. Let's just get someone who, I don't know, is going to...
Viva la revolution!
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, dude! Fucking burn it all to the fucking ground! Like, how the fuck do we have two senior citizens as our only fucking choices? And, like, there's people saying, that Kennedy guy, Robert Kennedy?
Yeah.
Dude, he's only got half a brain! How are our three options the dementia patient, the felon, and the literal lobotomite? What the fuck are American politics right now, dude?
Like, I will be completely honest. Like
shit, I would take a third term of Obama at this point. Like, at least Obama has to live with the consequences of his actions.
Yeah. Like, I think my favorite time to be alive, it was literally through the like Bill Clinton's. Like,
What a wild thing to say. Okay.
it was
Please
because
elaborate.
it was because of the media coverage. He was so fucking hilarious. Like, some of the shit, like, he would just, like, randomly be at a meeting and, like, pop out a fucking saxophone. Yeah.
Dude, I totally see Bill Clinton at that time. That was what, 04 to 08?
Something like that. Or no. No,
Yeah,
that was, like,
I wasn't watching politics.
that was, like,
at
2000,
time,
wasn't it?
but-
So 2000,
Like,
2004?
yeah.
Alright, so I was born in 01.
Or no, that would have been the 90s.
No, he was in the 90s.
90. He was in the 90s because Bush was 2000 to 2008.
Yeah.
Cool, so I wasn't even a twinkle in my father's eye yet.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. So like, I'm older than you, but the fact of the matter is that I was alive, and it was really funny because this was the first time that in a long time that we had an impeachment happen. And so in schools, like,
That wasn't that long. Wasn't Reagan impeached in like 86? Or 80...
was Reagan impeached?
So he wasn't removed from office.
Did
but
he go through?
was-
Oh, so he did go through an impeachment.
Yeah,
Okay,
there were articles of impeachment,
Okay.
and I want to say they were passed.
Okay.
But he was never actually removed. Just
Yeah.
like how they did to Trump.
And same with Clinton because he wasn't removed from office.
Right.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying though is like this one was because of the fact that the dude got a fucking blowjob in the Oval Office.
Also, baller shit, right?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this dude was
Baller
like,
shit.
and my favorite thing is he was like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And their whole fucking trial, it was so great because he was just like, I did not. And he kept saying that. And everybody's like, what is oral sex? Like, what is a blowjob? Asking these dumbass questions. And like, us being in, like, you know, 4th, 5th grade or whatever it was, watching the news in class.
Yeah.
And they're not censoring it.
Yeah.
And we're just like, yeah, we're
What
gonna
is
be
a
a,
blowjob?
we're gonna be a fucked up generation.
Yeah.
Dial-up had just become available.
Yep.
AOL, you would get 1,015 hours or something for free or whatever.
All the
Like-
religious people were pissed off because there's porn in the news.
Yeah. It was the best fucking time to be alive. Like, me and my friends would be like, hey, when are we gonna get our first blowjobs? You know, like, whatever. It was in...
Man, I would have killed to live in the
90
90s.
it was like 96, 98.
I got to
I
go
mean,
see
I'm
a fucking...
mullet right now. I'm living in the 90s.
Yeah.
Fuck this 2024 shit.
Yeah.
I also have fucking frosted tips. Technically.
But no, man, the 90s were fucking great. Like, they were... Everything was fucking neon colored and shit, and I'm colorblind, so it fucked with my head. So, the world was just fucking weird.
I mean, like, you look at, like, the even just the building design of the 90s, where everyone was trying to, like, make something that caught your eye.
Yeah.
And what the fuck happened to where everything you see come up now, it's the same monotone gray, it's just squares, like there's no soul in anything now.
Yeah, I mean, the only places you're going to find that, and this is true, is the U.S. You're not going to find it. You're going to find it a lot still in Europe, in the Middle East, and like India. Like China, it's very the same as the U.S. A lot of the major cities around the world. But like Tokyo, there's some crazy stuff out there. So like Japan has some really cool architecture.
Dude, I'd love to go see Japan.
I've gone numerous times, and I would highly recommend it.
When's the last time you went?
4 years ago, right before the pandemic.
Right before the... How much did it cost you? And like you had a good time, right?
Oh, I had a great time. So
you weren't like being stingy with it, right?
Well, no. So here's the thing, and I'll be completely blunt with you. I don't really have to worry too much about money.
Hell yeah.
So
that's what's up.
Yeah. So when I go on vacation, I don't really think about it. So I think that trip, if I were going, like, say I was out of college and I had gotten a nice job and I just want to go on vacation, you could probably do a good Japan trip. Like you could even fly fairly well for maybe $5,000, like at most.
It's not bad.
And I mean that's flying first class. If you take and just go down to like, you know, not economy but like economy plus or whatever, or like business class instead of like first class, which because I mean it's a long flight. So I mean you're in the air for like 23 hours.
Oh
so,
fuck, dude.
So it's a long flight.
I almost died on an 8-hour trip.
That's not good.
I was straight up not having a good time.
Like we fly to like Munich and shit. So and that's 9.5 hours from Philly. So like I get it, but yeah, the Japan trips, being on a plane for like between 20 to 23 hours, depending on how fast they're fucking going.
To put it into perspective, I get motion sick watching people swing on a swing set.
Got it. Bro, Dramamine, take 2 of those fuckers.
I bought at the airport, it was like a package of it was like a tube.
It's a tube and it's got 10 of them in it.
Yeah, and I just took all fucking 10.
Like, I'm just gonna go fucking sleep.
And, I tried sleeping through the whole thing, and because I went to, I had like an hour and a half to Canada, and then from Canada it was 10 hours to Budapest.
Yeah.
Or it was right outside of Budapest.
Yeah.
And, I fell asleep and I woke up at like 5 hours in. You know, I brought a book. I had a bunch of stuff downloaded on my phone, my headphones, everything was charged. Like, I felt like I prepared so well for this trip, only to forget all of that shit and go puke for like 3.5 hours.
That's awful.
Like, I threw up everything I had ever eaten.
It was like, bro, I just lost 2 years. What the fuck? Whoa. I feel younger.
Between that, the culture in Europe is so different.
It is.
So
I love European culture.
I did the Losers tour, the Losers World War II tour. So
yeah.
I like started in Budapest and went through Prague and I went up into Bratislava. Then I can't remember the fourth city, and then I ended in Berlin, Germany.
Yeah.
Germany was the worst. Like, I can't tell you which one was the best because all of the cities had so many great things except for Germany.
What did you not? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. So my favorite city in the world.
Yeah.
Other than Fukui, Japan.
Please don't say Berlin.
Munich, Germany.
Okay.
Munich, Germany is my favorite city in the world.
Driving through the German countryside was awesome. Like, it was, the natural beauty is, I don't want to say unparalleled, but it's totally unique.
Yeah.
And, like, I loved, you know, we stopped in, like, a little city. I couldn't pronounce the name, so I could never remember what it was. But that was awesome. Great food, great people. But I got to Berlin. Everything was so gray. And the people, like, you were just walking down the street. It was like New York, where no one gave a shit about you, except to scowl at you.
Yeah.
And then we went to this restaurant, and I hated the food so much, we ended up, it was me and my 2 uncles. They took me on, like, a graduation trip.
That's cool.
It was so fun. And they didn't like their food, I didn't like my food, so we're like, okay, let's not even eat it. Let's go to another place. We went to a mac and cheese bar. And I got, like, whatever the 6 cheese mac and cheese was. Worst shit I've had in my life. And I was on Snapchat just dogging the shit out of it. Like, how do you fuck up mac and cheese? You put cheese on noodles!
Like, yeah, no, so it's funny. So I've only had one bad food experience in Germany in my life.
Really? How many times have you been to Germany?
50 plus.
Holy shit. What do you do for work?
I'm an IT engineer.
Yeah, that explains it.
Also invest in crypto.
I tried doing that. I lost I lost a good amount of money.
So here's the thing. I started investing in Bitcoin when it was 70 cents a coin.
Wow. What is that, 2002?
2001, 2000 to 2001.
Fuck, dude.
70 cents a coin. I knew about it when it was like a 20th of a million of a cent for a coin. But I didn't think about it because I didn't think it was going to take off, even though I'm a tech guy.
And then you saw it hit 70
I was like, I can do this. So I took all of my, basically, because I was still in high school at this point, I took all of my bonds and things that my grandparents had given me when I was born. So gold bonds and all of those options. And it was about $100,000.
No.
And I invested that $100,000 into Bitcoin.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about fucking money ever again. Your kids don't need to worry about fucking money.
Christ.
This man pisses gold.
So he came to MatsuriCon with me last year.
Yeah.
Down in Columbus. You can ask him how much I did not care, and I just bought everything I wanted.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's just everything.
Economy schmonomy.
Yeah.
So
Fuck yeah, dude.
like it was one of those things, and then it was funny because I sold. So I also do a lot of stocks, so I play the stock market as well. So what I did was when Bitcoin hit $34,000 a coin, I sold half of my Bitcoin and invested into the stock market.
Nice.
So I get paid dividends on, like, I try to stick with stocks that are going to give me, like, quarterly dividends. So I can live off the dividends.
My Aunt Ann did that. Her and her husband, you know, they lived frugally for like 20 years where, like, you'd think that they were making $1 an hour.
Yeah, they were poor, you know.
And they both retired super early. I want to say they both retired between like 35 and 38. And they just lived on the dividends, but the dividends were so large that they would just invest like 90% of it, spend another like 15, 20 years living like poor as shit just to all of a sudden be millionaires.
Well, so like that was the thing. Like it's really funny that you say that because my goal in life was to retire by 20 or 38.
Really?
Yeah, that was my goal in life. But I then realized because I took like a year off because I was just like I don't want to fucking do anything. So I took a year off. I hated every fucking day.
Really?
I could not stand it. Like the first like month was great because I got so much shit accomplished and so much shit done.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, I was like, there's only so many games I want to play. There's only so many poems or books I want to write. There's only so much of this time. And after a while, it just becomes stale. So I completely understand why people that have so much fucking money spend their time on the go just doing random crazy shit. Doing whatever they can because they don't have to work, they don't have to do anything, and they can't just sit there.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people who are like, yeah, I'd love to just never have to work a day in my life.
Not me.
Yeah.
If I had unlimited money, like say I wasn't born with my last name, I was born a Rothschild, I would still be working.
Yeah.
Just because like I need to feel an accomplishment every day.
Yep.
Otherwise, I just like mentally cannot handle it.
I completely understand that. I'm the same exact way, so.
I would be frugal to a point, and then I would just mentally not handle it for a while.
Yeah.
That's probably how that would go.
But like that's the thing. It's like when I go to the store or whatever and I buy stuff and I do things. Like yesterday I was in Meijer. And I was going through the electronics section because I always take a look at the Switch games just to see if there's anything new because I want a complete collection. So I'm like, and I'm sitting there and when the guys come to see this, he goes, they're all good games. And I was like, yeah, but I own them all. And he went, oh. And I was like, yeah, I was hoping that you already had Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door in. He's like, yeah, it's not out yet. And I said, yeah, I know. Mine got delivered today because I had already pre-ordered it. But I was like, fuck it, I'll just have a second copy. Because that's what I do. But like, I'm just like, and people were just like, wow, you can just like go in and like buy things. Yeah.
So I only had $3,000 from my fucking tax return, and I fucked around and bought 2 copies of this by accident.
Dude, I don't even understand how the tax returns work because I paid like $11,000 in fucking federal last year. And I claimed 2 kids, Guess how much money I got back?
How much?
$4,500.
Holy shit.
What? Like, carry the one. I got fucked.
So my favorite thing, so taxes don't make sense at all, right? Like, so that's one of the things that I do love about Europe. Taxes included in the price.
Yeah.
So if it
That's
says
why everything's such a weird fucking price over there too.
yeah, if it says like $4.99 or whatever, you're gonna pay $4.99, and they'll give you, if you give them a $5, they give you a penny back.
Yeah.
So it's just fucking easy. Like, it's easy because you don't have to worry about getting up there and it being a completely different fucking price, and that throws people off when they come here for the first time.
Threw me off when I went to Portland, Oregon for the first time.
Yeah.
Because Oregon has no sales tax.
Neither is Texas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Really?
There's a couple of places that don't. And then, but I went to I bought a Tupac single for 99 cents, and I gave her $1, and I was reaching in my pocket to give her more change, and she handed me a penny back, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, but yeah, no, they don't do sales tax, which is cool. But like I said, it's one of those things that taxes in America are the weirdest shit. So here's the thing:
In Canada,
work.
it's already done for you.
Well, it is, but what I was going to say is you work to get paid. You get paid. You pay taxes on the money that you're given. You then go to the store. You buy something.
Pay taxes on the
You
item.
pay taxes on the item. Then you take the little money that you have and you give it to someone. You're giving it. It can be a gift. That money is still taxed. It is then taxed again. You're getting taxed 40, 50 cents out of every dollar, basically.
Right now, your effective tax rate is 43 cents on the dollar
Yeah.
in the middle class.
Yeah.
I want to say in like the highest tax bracket, the 500,000 plus, it goes down to like 33 to 36 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And all the way at the bottom, it's as high as 48 cents on the dollar.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, between 40 and 50.
Now,
So
I thought you were going to go a lot deeper into that analogy because, if you don't mind me
expanding.
stepping in.
Yeah, expand.
So you buy that item at the store, and you're paying the taxes right there. Now, depending on that item, every year you have to pay taxes on it again.
Yep.
So if it's something like a boat, a car, a house, any one of these big ticket items, even just a hunting license.
Well, yeah,
You know?
but so you can expand on it even more by going, okay, so you bought that item. The company that you bought it from then has to pay taxes on the money that they're given as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So I mean, the government's getting both sides of the deal are giving to the government.
Yeah.
And we have all this tax money going to the government. How the fuck are we running a deficit right now?
Yeah.
How are we running, like, I want to say it's $600,000 a year, or $600 million a year deficit?
Yeah, $103,000 per person.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
What?
They can't even fix a fucking road.
Dude.
So that's one of the cool things. So I moved here from Colorado.
Okay.
And one of the cool things about Colorado is I moved out there right before pot got legalized.
Okay.
So I moved out to Colorado at the best fucking time. So got a house for really cheap. Ended up selling it for really fucking stupidly expensive. So got a house. We're living out there, whatever. So much tax money, or marijuana was taxed so heavily, and it still is. The first year that it was legalized, there were 34 million additional dollars that Colorado, literally, they had paid all of their debts. They had fixed every single fucking road. They had nothing to do with the money.
Except hand it to the Fed.
No, wrong. It was
Wait, what
better
did they
than
do?
that. It was better than that. They literally reached out to the people of Colorado and said, how do you want us to do this? Do you want us to give it back?
Really?
Do you want us to give it back to you all? Or do you want us to invest it in other things? And what other things would you like to see us invest in? Not a single person in Colorado said, give me the money. They said, invest in our schools. Invest in our parks. Invest in our art galleries.
Make the public a little bit better. Hell yeah.
Invest in every department within every police department. Invest in training.
And then there's fucking DeWine out here
Yeah.
shutting down rec centers and parks, fucking removing national park classification from the metro parks throughout Ohio. Like, I don't know who the best governor in our history is, but I sure as fuck know who the worst was.
Yeah. And literally, what they did is they invested so much into the community, crime rates dropped significantly. In all of the underprivileged areas,
Well, the other
property
part
values
of that,
increased. Things were fixed.
The other part of that, though, is with pot not being illegal anymore, like, there's still the same amount of people smoking pot, dealing pot, buying pot, but it's just not a crime anymore.
Yeah.
Like, when you remove a law and make something not a crime, like, yeah, of course the crime rate's going to go down, you know?
But the thing about it was, I'm talking violent crimes specifically. I'm not talking drug-related crimes.
Okay.
Like violent crimes.
Drug-related crimes will go down tremendously, but
violent crimes
go down because you're able to smoke now. You're not.
Well, but the other thing about it
Everyone's
is,
a little calmer.
but the
You're
other
a lot calmer.
but the other great thing about it was,
I'm not trying to fight now.
no, but like one of the best things that happened, the overdose deaths dropped
Good.
by
Yeah.
like 23%.
Because you can get weed.
But the other thing about it is that here's the thing: just because you can get weed,
For anyone listening, if it's not clear, Nuri is violently pro-marijuana. Sorry to cut you off there.
It makes sense. But the thing about it is literally this. It's so there have been, because people are like, nobody's ever died from smoking weed. That statement is not true anymore. I have had 2 friends OD because
it was laced with shit.
It was laced with fentanyl.
I've had a couple buddies go to the hospital and they're like, "What the fuck did you do?" And you know, they're regular people, you and me, blue collar, white collar dudes who are going there like foaming at the mouth, and it's like, "What the fuck did you do?"
and it's like, I smoked some pot and now I feel like this and I don't know what's going on and like my heart is in my head. And this is not a good time.
I can taste my heartbeat right now. What the fuck is happening?
It's supposed to be a good time.
Dude, and
but like that is what's happening. And so it takes the number of people that'll go, hey, I can get this legally. I'm going to go to a place where it's regulated. And they do that. And it literally, it's just so much better. Like, hell, fuck it. I don't care. There's places like fucking Amsterdam. You can literally go buy fentanyl, go to a clinic and say, I'm going to do fentanyl. Can you watch me? And they go, yeah. And they have medical professionals there trained to deal with overdoses and shit. And you don't get in trouble for it. It's not something that is...
Where is that?
America
Denmark.
isn't quite unique in the way that they handle drugs, but they're definitely in the minority where, you look at these people with addiction who have been struggling, this, that, and the other, and you put them in fucking prison exclusively with drug dealers.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the sense in that? No, get her to rehab.
Court-mandated rehab. You gotta do it. But no, it's one of those things. It's so a couple months ago, I was in the hospital with some kidney stone issues.
That sucks.
It does, because I learned something about myself while I was there. So they started me, because I got there, and I was in so much fucking pain. I could not sit still. So they gave me morphine. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. So then they say, okay, we're going to give you fentanyl. And I'm terrified of this shit, right?
Right.
They give it to me. Nothing. No effect on me whatsoever.
Really?
You're
missing that fucking processor in your brain.
I am. It doesn't affect me at all. And so they ended up giving me a non-opioid steroid.
Okay.
Called Toradol. It's IV only. It took 25 minutes for it to kick in, but as soon as it hit, because I was like, this fucking sucks. As soon as it hit, no pain. It was instant.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my, literally, it was like a calming moment because I was like, oh my God, it's gone.
Hell yeah.
And this is a non-fucking opioid. It is basically, it's basically the same thing that is in tramadol, but it's in IV form. And I was like, what in the fuck? And it was great because the doctor that was dealing with me, she was like, yeah, they had to give me that when my appendix ruptured. So that's why I wanted to try it.
Dude, that's so wild that some people have a self-destruct timer just constantly going down, and one day it hits fucking 0, and it's like, you have 30 minutes to get to the hospital or you're gonna die.
Yeah. So that was, but that's funny because the night before, my sides were kind of sore, and I was like, all right, fuck, I must have pulled my back because I was doing some lifting at work. We were dealing with some new, sands to put into server racks. But, I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, cool, no big deal. I lay down, I go to sleep, and I wake up at 5 a.m. Like, on the fucking dot. And I get up and I go take a piss. And, like, my stomach was just like, I felt like death. I was like, what the fuck? So I go and I sit on the couch, and I'm like, okay, maybe it'll pass. I didn't want to wake my wife up, right? Because she's got to wake up in like 45 minutes to go to work anyway. So I wait until she wakes up. I hear her alarm go off, and then I hear her turn it off. So I know that she's awake. And then I wait for her second alarm to go off, which goes off 3 minutes later.
I'm one of those people.
So, same. But, like, the second one goes off, and I go up there and I said, hi, I need you to take me to the ER right now. And she was like, what? And I said, I am dying. Like, this pain is unreal. And she's like, where? And I told her, and she's like, okay, we're going. So we get in the car, and I can barely sit down. And I get to the ER. They tried to take my blood pressure, and they couldn't fucking do it because I couldn't sit still long enough. And I was like, it's fucking high. That's all you need to know. I was like, I'm probably at 230 over 150. Like, let's go. And so finally, they finally got my blood pressure. And it was literally like 250 over like 190.
Oh my god.
Like, they were like, you are in severe, like, I was like, nope, it's just pain related. I'm not in, like, stroke mode. Like, I get it. I understand. Like, it's fine. But, like, it took them, like, an hour to get me back. So the pain just keeps building. And my wife, she's an angel. She's just like, I am so sorry. Like, I wish I could help. And there's nothing I can do. And I'm like, yep. And so, literally, when they finally got me back into the ER, and, like, I'm sitting there, and when I finally got stable, I was like, cool, you can leave now. She's like, what? I was like, go to work. Because there's nothing you can do. Like,
you don't got to worry about money, and you're still sending your woman to work.
She works. She's the same way that I am.
I'm joking.
Yeah. So, but like that's the thing, right? And you know, I was just like, fuck. And it was great because then they had to do a CAT scan, and they were like, we have to see if there's a blockage. And they come to me, and so we've got good news or we've got bad news. And I was like, okay, start with the bad news. They went, well, that's fucked up. And I was like, start with the bad news. Well, you have a 9.6 millimeter kidney stone.
Ow.
That's the size of a fucking marble, my guy.
That's horrible.
And then you also have one that is 3.6 millimeters. I said, okay, that's the bad news.
What's the good news?
What's the good news? We can surgically remove them.
Fuck yeah.
And I went, that's the good news? Explain the surgery.
Oh, no.
Tip to tail. Opened up, pull out.
Oh, no.
And I went, that's the good news? And you said I'm fucked up.
No, the right way to present that would have been, hey, so I have some bad news, but to make it better, I have worse news.
Yeah. But I was like, that's the... And you call me fucked up. Like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that. I was like, can I physically pass these? Like, can I pass them, like, myself? And he goes...
Maybe.
No, he goes, it's possible, yes. It's gonna hurt. Cool. I'll still have a dick. We're good. And he's like, yeah, that's fair. It's fair. I was like, you're just like cutting people's dicks off. You're weird. But like, it was not a fun day, but I'm in there, and like, I didn't pass him while I was in the hospital, because I was in there for 2 days.
Yeah.
And it was fucking hilarious, because like, everybody's like, I'm sitting there, like, my, one of the urologists comes in to talk to me, and the thing starts beeping, like, the machine starts beeping, and I just go over, and I'm like, tap, 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 he's like, where'd you learn how to do that? And I went, what do you mean? He's like, you just did exactly what you're supposed to do to make it work. And I said, he's like, are you in the hospital a lot? And I said, no, I just watched your nurses do it.
Yeah.
And he went, what? And I was like, observation skills, buddy, I got them. Like, I need to leave because I can't sit in a bed all fucking day. Like, we gotta go. And he was like, you haven't passed them yet. I was like, yeah, but they're in my bladder, I'll pass them. And he's like, one of them is quite large. And I said, I'll deal with it. So I get home, have to get this special medication. And it's the funniest name ever. It's called Flomax. That's the medication. And it's like it like makes your urethra like loose or whatever. It's weird.
You got them piss pills.
Yeah, it's a diuretic, but it also kind of numbs inside of your dick. So I highly recommend just trying one of them once because it's interesting. It's the weirdest piss I ever took. Like it's so fucking weird. Like, I was like, well, that's a weird feeling. But no, so I'm sitting there, and you got the funnel, and because they want you to collect them.
Finish your drink for memorable pisses.
Yeah. So, I'm sitting downstairs, and then I passed them, and they both passed really quickly. And I didn't feel anything. I was like, oh, that was... I was like, thank fucking God. So a couple weeks later, I have to go into my urologist, so I bring her the cup. And I set it on the counter. And she comes in, she goes, holy shit! And I went, she was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, nah, I said the same thing. And she went, please tell me they removed that in surgery. And I went, no. She goes, you did that? And I went, yeah. And she went, good fucking job, buddy. Like, way to fucking go. And she then proceeded to tell me that it was like, so you know how a woman can have twins, right? Yeah. Imagine if she gave birth to them at the same exact time. And I went, yeah. She goes, yeah, you just did that. And I was like, I'm a mom now? And she was like, I fucking hate you.
Well, the thing that people discount about the birthing situation is, like, their bodies are meant to do that. Like, your body's not meant to miss a marble.
It's not. Like
their bones shift, their like muscles.
Your entire pelvic floor changes. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
yours doesn't. Yeah, your organs and shit move. Like mine just goes, hey, there's a thing there that's not supposed to be there. You need to get this out now or I'm gonna die.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was awful. And I was just like, holy fuck, man.
Fucking terrible.
And then last weekend, I'm sitting there and like I go to piss and like it was weird because it felt plugged up for a second and then it went and I was like, I just passed another. My body got used to being like in that much pain that it's just like, yeah, you're good now.
Oh my God.
Like I shocked my body into basically being like, yeah, you're completely immune from this now. So like, yeah, you.
Yeah, it's called a trauma response, buddy.
But yeah, my body's just like, nope, you're good. I'm like, fuck that. But yeah, Christine's like, did you just pass another kid? I was like, yeah. And she was like, that's about as big as like the smaller one that you. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, and you weren't in pain? I was like, no. And she's like, wow. Your body just said fucking no.
At the beginning of this, we were talking about fentanyl and opiates. Yeah. I have personally one experience with opiates. It's Vicodin.
Yeah.
So I was working at a car wash at the time, and I was like filling in at another store, and this store, like, cars would roll out of the line. So you'd have to have them pull up more, and sometimes even then you'd have to put like a hand on the tire. Well, at the store I came from, every once in a while you'd have like an absolutely brainless motherfucker come in, and you would just have to grab the tire and move them where you needed them. So I tried doing this at this store, but because of the incline, I couldn't move the car and it started rolling back, and my finger got caught between the rim and the caliper.
Ouch.
And then, so it like rolled back 2 inches, pinned me, and like, when it happened, my hand was like this, and it like fucking smashed. My whole hand was bruised, and my middle finger at the tip got cut off about a ½ inch up. And the machine picked up the car and it like released me, and I was just like looking at this, and there was the person in their car like screaming as my finger is like hanging off my hand. And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to close tonight. Maybe I can. So I run up front and I like grab some paper towels and I like wrap it, and in the time it took me to wrap it, it was already soaked in blood. And my only coworker who was there, like we were literally like 4 or 5 minutes from closing. And she comes out of the office, and she's like an 18-year-old girl. Like, she had went to high school this morning and got off of high school and came to the car wash.
And now she's dealing with a dude that basically degloved his middle finger. Like, fucking let's go.
Well, so when she opens the door, I heard him throw my hand behind my back, and I'm like, hey, are you from around here? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, sweet. Do you know where the nearest hospital is? She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, you're from around here. Do you know where the nearest hospital is? She's like, why? And I'm like, do you know where the hospital is? She's like, what are you talking about? And I just pull my hand out. She starts screaming. I did not get another word into her until days later when I went back.
I should have just told you where the hospital was. I'm so sorry. Yay, trauma.
So I call my boss. And, she's, like, screaming and sobbing in the background. So I call the general manager of that place. And she's like, what's going on? Why is Maddie crying? And I'm like, so I need you to send someone else to help her close. And she's like, what are you talking about? You were the help to close. And I'm like, yeah, I accidentally just cut my finger off. She's like, what? did you do that? And I'm like, that's really not important right now. It's on camera. I need to go.
Leave now. Bye.
And I was like going back and forth between like the desk and the door because I'm like, I mean, like, it kind of hurts, but it's really not that bad. It just looks really bad. And I haven't seen it in a minute, and, like, the pain is starting to, like, you know, go away a little bit. Like, I, you know, don't look at it. Out of sight, out of mind type shit.
ADHD brain is really good at that. Just fucking... If I don't look at it, it ain't there.
Well, my thing is, I can dissociate.
Yeah.
So, like, I was out of it, you know? But my coworkers screaming and sobbing was really starting to get to me mentally. So I'm like, no, I really should go to urgent care, you know? Like, go see someone. So I grabbed the whole fucking roll of paper towels and I just wrap my shit, get into my car, and I'm like, okay, so I'm already dripping blood. I have a whole fucking roll of, like, shop towel on my fucking hand, and I'm still dripping. So I grabbed the half a joint out of my ashtray, and I'm just like... just trying to, like, get as high as possible really fucking quick before I get on the road. Get on the road, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, that pain's, that's like a 5 out of 10. I grab a cigarette, and it was 12 minutes to the urgent care. I smoked 3 cigarettes. Like, I don't think I took a single breath of fresh air. And I get into the urgent care, and, you know, they're, like, minutes away from closing, too. So everyone's, you know, like, talking in the back, hanging out, nothing's going on. There's this lady at reception, like, starting to close down the books and stuff. And I, like, walk in. She doesn't even see me until I am right in front of the window. And I'm just sitting here, like, gushing blood. Like, it's, like, falling out of the napkins. I'm covered from nipple to toe in blood, standing in a puddle of it. And she looks up and goes... It was like the most dramatic shit I'd ever seen in my life.
That is an urgent care I wouldn't go to, because my favorite thing is, like, I love going to urgent care and they just look up and they go, okay. And they continue doing what they're doing for a second, because then you can judge how bad it really is. If they do that shit, yeah, you're fucked.
So
I'm surprised you didn't lose your fucking finger.
She got up so quick that the chair was like halfway on the floor and she was already out the room. She comes back literally dragging the doctor by his sleeve, and he goes, "Oh."
I see.
And it was the only time I've been to a medical facility where they weren't like, "Hey, let's get your information," and he's like, let's go, and I get into the back, and they unwrap it, and it's just like a faucet. Like, I am a bleeder. Dude, I could bleed out on a fucking paper cut, and I just took a finger off. And, you know, the doctor's, he's like turning my hand over, and I'm not looking still. Like, as soon as I look, I know the pain is about to hit me like a fucking bus. Yeah. And he's like turning my hand over, and he's finally like, so, what do you want me to do about it? And I'm like hysterically laughing, like, you're the fucking doctor, dude. What do you want to do about it?
Well, I'm not a fucking surgeon.
Like, I work at a car wash, my guy. Like, I don't fucking know. It's above my pay grade. And he's like, okay, so I'm gonna call the ambulance. And I'm like, yeah, no, $1,000 wee-woo wagon, fuck off.
Tell me where the hospital is, I'll drive.
I drove myself here, I'll drive myself to the hospital.
Yeah.
So he's like trying to give me directions and shit, and I'm like, can I just get the name of the place to pop it in the GPS? I didn't hear a fucking word you just said. So he gives me the name, and, you know, he's like finishing up, and they didn't like wrap me or anything, and I'm like, I mean, do I really need to go to a hospital? And he just like gives me this pissed off look and walks away without a word. And a nurse comes in to like escort me out, and I'm like, hey man, do you mind like wrapping it like a little bit? Like, I do still have to get into my car that I will have after today. And he's like, yeah, no problem, man. And, you know, he's starting to wrap it up, and I'm like, see, like, that's exactly what I thought you guys were going to do. It's not that bad. And he's like, it's pretty bad. And I'm like, do I really need to go to the hospital? And he's like, dude, what the fuck is up with you in the hospital?
Man, fucking hospitals are expensive.
And it's expensive. It's bullshit. I'm about to sit here for 6 fucking hours, and... you know, I'm like covered in blood. I'm like, hey man, can you do me a solid and like help me clean up a little bit? And he was so nice, so cool, helps me clean up, and I'm like, dude, I mean, I'm basically better. And he's like, dude, go to the fucking hospital. Yeah. So from the urgent care to the hospital was like 20 minutes. I don't know how many cigarettes I smoked. The answer is all of them. Like, I finished my pack that I bought on my way to work that day.
The cigarettes.
And I was, at the time, usually smoking 5 a day. So I probably smoked 16. Just from the time I cut to the time I actually walked into the hospital. Got in, sat in the waiting room for like an hour and a half. Then they finally got me to the ICU, and I have 5 people had come in and like asked for information.
Well, it would have been the
this, that,
ICU.
the other,
It would have been the ER.
or ER, yeah.
It was like, they put you in intensive care for your finger. What the fuck did you do?
No. I think you're right. And all these people are coming in, and every single one that comes in, I'm like, hey, can I get like a Motrin or something for the pain? And they were asking about medical history, and I'm like, I don't have a history with opiates, other than I just lost one of my best friends to them. Like, never gonna see him again. I don't want to be put on this shit. I don't want there to even be the possibility of becoming addicted. Like, can I just get a Motrin? And they wrote it down. And they're like, yeah. They go, and 5 fucking people later, they're like, okay, we need you to stick your finger in this. And I'm like, oh, is this for the pain? And they're like, no, this is a disinfectant. It's gonna hurt. I'm like, okay, I mean, there's no shortage of pain right now. Could I get like a Motrin or something? Stick your finger in this, I'll make the order for the Motrin. Cool. Fucking, at that point, the pain peaked at like a 7. Let me be clear, most adults who are currently alive could deal with getting a finger cut off. They say it's one of the worst pains because you have so many nerve endings. Yeah. Yes, it was painful, and like, yes, whatever shock, this, that, and the other. I can't say that I was super affected by shock, because at this point I'd cut my finger off 3 hours ago.
Yeah. And you have now had time to process.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the pain just wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, peaked at like a 7 when I put it into the solution. And then the actual surgeon comes in, and, we're talking, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, can I get, like, a Motrin for the pain? It's been, like, 4 hours that I've been here. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And we signed this document saying that, the doctor was trying to convince me that he could put it back on and make it all better. And I'm like, honestly, I had an uncle who went through this, and, he dealt with 20 years of pain, and at that point, the only thing they could do was cut it off. I'd rather you just cut it to a safe point and close it up there. And he's like, cool. So we signed that, go into the operating room, and they're like, count down from 100. And I'm like, I can do that, okay? I didn't even get to 100 from 100.
Okay.
But
I have the opposite when it comes to anesthesia. Like, so my favorite moment, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but this makes sense here. So I'm sitting there, and I was like, hi, anesthesia doesn't really work. And they were like, you'll be fine.
Are you Irish?
Yes. Scotch,
okay.
Scotch Irish.
That's probably where the opiate tolerance and the anesthetic tolerance come from.
Yeah.
So makes sense. I'm Scotch Irish too, and I can abuse those without feeling like I have to have them.
Yeah. So, but I'm sitting there, and they're like, okay, so, and they're like, count down from 10. And this was for a shoulder surgery. So I played football in high school and fucked up my shoulders and my knees, but they actually found a piece of bone in there that looked like a grain of rice because it had been there for like 20 years.
Oh my god. Did you have like dysplasia or something where it was like malformed?
No. It was just, it had a little chip out of it.
Oh.
Like the rotator cuff just had a little chip out of it. It basically healed, but my shoulder would pop out constantly. Like I could just lift up and my shoulder would pop out. So they were like, okay, count down from, 10. And I'm like, 10, 9, and I'm doing long weights. And I get down to about -15, and they go, fuck.
Crank it up.
Well, yeah, so at that point, he was like, I'm going to go get the big vial of propofol. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm going to be honest, when you wake up, you're probably going to puke. And so, like, they just kept pumping me full of stuff, and they're like, what in the fuck? And I was like, yeah, I take 36 milligrams of Ambien to go to sleep every night. And that's prescribed. And they goes, that's enough to tranquilize a fucking horse, my guy. I know. And if I don't...
Well, I'm not a horse.
Yeah. And so I'm like, So yeah, like I have the opposite effect. Like I can just sit there for like a minute and a half. I'm just like, yep, let's go. And then when I wake up, I don't get groggy. I like wake up and I'm like, all right.
Well, so that was my perspective of the countdown. Everyone else's perspective is I took in a big deep breath, closed my eyes, and started hysterically laughing for like 20 minutes.
Oh, okay, fair.
So they ended up.
Did they give you nitrous for the pain?
They didn't give me anything for the pain. Like,
No,
I was still in
you
pain
said,
when they.
Well, you said you said countdown from 100. Was that from like keeping it in the antiseptic, or was that
They put the mask on.
that
so
was
I
probably
don't know.
nitrous? That's probably why you laughed. Nitrous is good for controlling pain.
But I was I was supposed to fall asleep. I know that was the point.
Well, nitrous can knock you the fuck out too.
So everyone was like a little like, okay, that was a little weird. And they do the surgery, and instead of cutting off the finger like we had signed the document for, he tried to rebuild it.
Looks like you did a fairly good job.
This is after the third reconstruction.
Oh,
Yeah, no, the later in the story.
got it.
So I wake up, and my mind is so foggy, and I do have a mental health history, and the opiates did not conflict well with that.
Yeah.
So I woke up, and from my perspective, by the time I woke up, I was already halfway out of my bed, and like all of my shit was like torn. Like I was bleeding from the needles
The
and
IVs,
shit.
yeah.
Well, the nurses told me before they discharged me, they're like, yeah, when you woke up, you shot up and just started beating your fucking hand on the bed. Just scream laughing like the fucking Joker. And I'm like, what the fuck did you give me? And they're like, well, you were prescribed, this much Vicodin. And I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't Vicodin an opiate? Oh. Yeah, it says here in your chart that you didn't want opiates. And... like, fuck! That's probably what did it. I fucking... My mind was fucked up for like a week where I would be like just sitting there, like... I would look at my finger and I'd be like, damn, that hurts. And then start hysterically fucking laughing. My whole family was like, do we need to, like, call in the doctor? Like, is there, like, a mental health, like, hotline for people? Like, what the fuck do we do with this kid?
What the fuck did you guys do?
Right? Like,
Did
he
you
went in with
inject LSD? Like...
he went in with a bad finger and he came out with schizophrenia. Fucking, and this was the fucking killer of it, was on the discharge, I'm like, can I get, like, a prescription for, like, over-the-counter, like, the big Motrins like my mom has?
Yeah, like ibuprofen 8s.
Yeah.
Yeah, IV8s, yeah.
And they're like, sure. And they give me the script, and I get home, and I can't read. I'm too busy laughing my ass off. Screaming in pain.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend at the time, Megan, is like, these are for Vicodin. Fucking what? Throw out the script, and I'm like, Mom, can I just get a fucking Motrin? Because the pain at this point, it went from a 7 to a 9 after the surgery, and I'm like, why would it get worse?
The healing process.
Well, no, when they wrapped it, they twisted it.
Oh.
So I took that first Motrin 800, and I go into sleep that night, I'm like, dude, this pain is fucking unbearable. I gotta see what's going on. And I started unwrapping it, and I got to this, like, to the point where it wasn't around my hand anymore, it was just around my finger, and I watched the whole thing twist, and the pain was just gone. No pain at all. I'm like, what the fuck? And I keep unwrapping it, and I'm like, why do I still have a finger there?
Well, shit.
So that's my experience with opiates. Apparently they turned me into the fucking Joker.
I mean,